A lot of what XOL, Space Mech Wars is very apparent in its title. It's a mecha-themed space shooter that recently released as of November 4th, 2025 by indie solo developer Michigames. It advertises itself as a game where you pilot a giant humanoid mech robot freely through outer space to engage in multi-directional 3D squad-based combat in 12 different missions. Now, XOL is a game that really wears its inspirations on its sleeve. You pilot a purple suit that has a mono eye in space battles. There's tube-shaped colonies, laser swords. If you ever wanted a first-person pilot experience set at the tail end of a certain one-year war, this is definitely something to pick up. And just so we're all clear, I love this game. Before we get too far into it, I'm Sir Armor. I'm a bit of a mecha noob that realized I actually really like giant robots. I decided to start documenting my experiences through these YouTube videos as I delve deeper into the genre. If you'd like to keep up with me, a like and a sub would be helpful, and if you want to tell me about your favorite mech media, just throw it in the comments. Now on to the review. Since this game is so completely new, I think it might be a bit of a disservice for me to go over its plot in excruciating detail, as I don't really want to spoil things for anyone who hasn't played it. But to be fair, it's a relatively short story that consists mostly of military jargon, like, go blow up those guys over there that are attacking us. You are the fourth member added into a three-man team, a legally distinct spacesuit team. There's bits of discussion over the communications here and there, mostly minor character developments. You get commanded around by a couple of generals who are flying around in their battleships. There's a couple of small twists and turns and tragedies, but overall the story is not super in-depth. I think perhaps the biggest thing to say about the story in this regard is that it is a little hard to follow due to the voices all being AI generated. Now the developer is on record that real human voices are being added into the game. At my time, presently, they are not there. So what this means is that not only some of the wording needs a bit of tweaking per English coherence, but mostly that it's hard to distinguish which characters are talking sometimes, as their weird robot voices often sound similar and pronounce certain words funny. Case in point, is the game title pronounced XOL, or XOL, or XOL? I don't know. Hopefully, with the addition of the real human voices, the plot will become easier to follow. With all that said, though, I would be lying if I claimed that the ending sequence of the game didn't actually send chills down my spine. The gameplay itself is split into 12 different missions. Each mission has a runtime of about 10 minutes to maybe 20. Every level does have an additional optional side objective to pursue, as well as an option to enable a hard mode in the options menu. So you're looking at a full game time of a quick 3 hours to maybe 6 if you're pressing the replay. Essentially, each mission will either take place in the vast openness of space or pit you in some sort of structure. Corridors leading in and out of an intergalactic mine, or within the confines of one of those space colony tubes. Regardless, you'll fight against other suits, little tiny mini-ships, incoming missile strikes, great big battleships, and more. The majority of these levels tend to be on the side of escort missions, typically, defend your team's spaceship as it flies around and gets blasted by the baddies. And when you are blasting the enemies, you can do it in first or third person mode. You use a variety of weapons, like a big cannon or a shotgun blast of missiles. You can even hold up a great big shield to protect yourself, which was really helpful for me because I kept overheating my thrusters. Mostly you'll be using the rifle, which either has a burst fire or, my favorite, a charged up power shot. And of course, when you're in close melee range, you get to use the big laser sword. Now, I really wish the laser sword had a lock-on. Similar to the other weapons, they get this little bit of an auto-aim, which is handy when you fly as bad as I do. I think the melee weapon would feel a lot better if you had a little bit of a lock-on and lunge with it. As it sits now, I struggled a bit to strike moving targets. In addition to this, there was a weird hiccup with the main rifle weapon. Sometimes if I hit the fire button too soon for a charge-up attack, nothing would happen until I released the click, which would then cause a burst fire shot. It was a minor annoyance. Now, within the level design, there does seem to be a bit of repeating objectives. For example, in more than one mission, a volley of missiles will fly at the ship for you to defend from. You'll need to fly ahead of the group to take out the missiles before they sink all of your Gamuis. That's the name of the big ships. I think if the game was longer, the few repetitions would end up wearing their welcome out, but as short as the game is, it's not really recurrent enough in my taste for that to happen. But it is noticeable. First, the sound. As I already spoke of the AI voice as a big negative, that should be corrected with future patches. The general sound is amicable. I particularly liked how quickly turning my head around sounded like I was a DJ tearing it up at the record table. As far as music, I think the game had music. Honestly, I was so tuned into the gameplay that I don't even remember it if it was even there. Wild. On the visual end of things, oh boy do I love the way that this game looks. I think I'm a huge sucker for low poly graphical fidelity and also space. The dark, cold, expansive, yet oppressive background environment of the universe set with these neon pastel bright laser shots and explosions of cotton candy pink mist was captivating and wonderful. The solid color scheming gives pretty good legibility even at the long distance that most of the game takes place in, which combined with the low poly look gives off a nice cartoon vibe, but not in a way that completely throws out any sense of the serious narrative, if you get what I mean. I like that in the first-person mode you can see a bit of the pilot controls as well as battle damage on Fourth's monitor screen. And just to recap on the downsides I mentioned before, I bring up some new ones. The AI voices are pretty wonky, and I think the story will greatly feel improved after they're replaced. The game overall is pretty short. There's a bit of jankiness present with a lack of melee lock-on lunge. It's easy to misclick with the rifle, which causes unintended type of shot. Maybe there was a lack of music, or at least a lack of music that was memorable, I guess. The level design can be repetitive if you're super picky. I've noticed others complain about performance issues. Now, I didn't really encounter any of this myself, with the exception of using the autopilot portal things in the missions. I think this sort of places a loading screen whenever you're meant to move a long distance. Regardless, it would give me a weird visual lag for a few seconds there. You can also completely cheese the big battleships. If you sit in the right position over their turrets, they can't target you and don't know what to do besides spin in circles. Besides this, if you perch your suit in a spot on one of the ships and just whack it with your sword, it'll explode. That is, of course, if you position yourself gently. If you run into the ship too hard, you'll just bounce around. Okay, so really the biggest negative with this game, I think, is that it ends. I would love to see this expanded upon or get a more fleshed out sequel with more suits and customization and land battles, and some sort of multiplayer or endless survival mode would really be welcome besides the single player campaign. This is a super cool indie project that is basically the Gundam game that I've always wanted. You play as a rendition of my favorite mobile suit. Someday I'll have time to build you. flying around, having space battles. It has a beautiful art direction with very strong colors and a decent variety of missions. It's a relatively short and straightforward experience that doesn't overstay its welcome. While there are bits of jank here and there, the overall charm very heavily outweighs the negatives and leaves you with a very satisfying experience. I look forward to replaying this one after its voice lines are replaced, and I sincerely hope it achieves enough success to warrant expansion.